Hey everybody, welcome to our week 8 recap of Our Clown in Brooklyn Loves Big Brother.
If you made it to this part of the video, please subscribe, like the video. It only takes 1 second. And with that, previously on Big Brother.
I am shocked and impressed that for the second week in a row, Rachel has managed to wiggle herself out of harm's way on 2 weeks that she really, really could have gone home.
All thanks to her being aligned to Keanu, even though Keanu wanted to get her voted out last week. That was a big reason for her not going home this week was Keanu being HOH. He knows he needs Rachel as much as Rachel needs him. He said it himself. Once one of us gets voted out, the other will probably be right behind the other. Even though Rachel was flying so close to the sun and challenging Keanu, really just pushing his buttons, in my opinion. If Keanu would have been anybody else, he would have nominated her, she would have gotten voted out, and that would have been it. But again, Keanu is smarter than that. He knows Rachel is a huge target, but in the same way that he is a huge target. And it is crazy that she survived another week.
We predicted a Keanu HOH either last week or the week before, and we both agreed that Rachel would be safe under his HOH. And I agree, like, what a risky move for her to make right before a renown ceremony to go at it with him and like threaten him. That's gameplay that he knows because that's obviously the gameplay that he's playing to be kind of like a threatening force, playing that very aggressive, threatening gameplay, and it's not our favorite. But the moment he was threatened, he clocked it, and it was very, very risky. But all I can say about Rachel is that she must have been touched by an angel, because to survive a Vince HOH and a Keanu HOH, knowing that she's such a threat to both of their games, that move deserves some applause.
And it was so crazy, like the way last week ended, where Keanu wanted a backdoor Rachel. Like
Hmm.
Keanu was 100% pushing for a backdoor. They even went at each other, with the whole wanting to talk to Vince until the last minute
Hmm.
of that renom ceremony, and him then winning HOH this week and having a moment of clarity, and all of a sudden then deciding he was going to nominate Morgan, Mickey, and Vince, even though Vince, he says, is one of his closest allies. He wanted to teach him a lesson, and which I completely understand. It is true. Vince had burned Keanu way too many times. But it was interesting to see how then he was campaigning for people to, if they won the veto, to use it to take Vince off of the block, including trying to convince Kelley, which interestingly enough, she has been burned by Vince way too many times, probably more than Keanu, because Kelley had a day two final two with Vince. And it's just crazy how she was a target for the past couple of weeks, primarily because, like, due to, like, Vince and him literally abandoning her and letting her go adrift in the house and be a solo person.
She really had no reason to trust Vince and every reason to want to work on a plan to get him out. And it's interesting that she's aligned so closely with Keanu. And that little trifecta of Keanu, Kelley, Vince, it just kind of just makes me laugh. Like, it's just such a funny, like, they're not really aligned. I don't think. I don't think that any of them took take their alliances to each other seriously. Obviously proven by Vince's choices in the game against both of them. And it just makes me laugh. It just makes me laugh that Keanu would even take that kind of risk. Just as risky as Rachel was this week, I think Keanu was too, because what a strange, chaotic gameplay to like teach your Titus Alliance a lesson by nominating them and endangering them.
For sure.
I think someone who did something similar in their HOH was Mickey, because Mickey entrusted a lot of people to flip on an alliance member, and it was a very risky move. And I feel like Keanu did that too. Like he put his trust in Kelley when Kelley didn't owe anybody anything. And that's just like pure luck and long term strategy for sure. So shocked that Vince stayed, shocked that Rachel stayed. But I also think that we can't talk about Vince without talking about the surprise of the season.
Showmance 2.0.
I think we thought we lost showmances, but perhaps the real showmances were the ones we made along the way.
For sure. That was an awkward moment of Ava walking into the room
My gosh.
and Morgan rubbing Vince's arm and her excuse of, oh, I'm just trying to wake him up, and being caught in that, like, what I felt was like such a cheap lie.
You know, I have this theory that when you have an involuntary physical response to someone's like behaviors or words, like energetically that you're clocking some shenanigans. And that is exactly what Ava experienced. She walked in the room, she was like she didn't even like have a moment to mentally download what she was experiencing. She just like was like, whoa, this is I walked in the wrong room. Really awkward. I
Vince will have some explaining to do to his girlfriend when he gets out of
Yeah,
the show.
yeah, but I think you made a good point, like something that Rachel said.
Again, you make some connections in this game. You're in the same house with people for like months, 24/7. You don't have connections with anybody else in the outside world. You're like literally spending every breathing moment with the same people, and these connections are bound to happen.
Yeah, well, and it's very emotionally charged in the atmosphere at all times. People are also like very vulnerable. I can totally see it. And like, not that I think it's an excuse, but it doesn't sound like he's married. I don't believe he has any kids. So I can understand why there may be like some leeway
For sure.
in the choices that he's making versus to somebody like Will who's married with children like
Exactly. That
that.
would be
There
way,
are
yes, there are
levels.
levels for sure.
I definitely don't agree with his actions. But really, I think Morgan doesn't need to win Big Brother. Morgan needs to go to therapy. This is too much. She's trying to start something with Zach, and I feel like she was never really chosen by Zach because obviously Zach was. Do you remember there's kind of a love triangle
For sure.
with
He
crying
went
Zach,
to Lauren,
Lauren,
yeah.
and Morgan, and Morgan saw that. I think she felt some rejection, and she kind of just like naturally fell into the arms of Vince, an unavailable man,
Yeah, but I feel like they just have a
and
really good friendship to where
totally,
like lines have blurred,
yeah,
and that happens a lot
yeah,
with like, especially, guy girls
vulnerable,
relationships, and like
yeah,
all, and like them getting this close. For sure, lines can all of a sudden get blurry, and like maybe there's some feelings there
yeah,
that they're gonna have to for sure have a conversation about at some
yeah,
point and just like address.
yeah.
um but yeah, it was definitely not the best look for Vince, especially because he's the one that's in a relationship.
I think arguably for both of them, it was a questionable look.
For sure.
I get it, but it's questionable. Morgan also very, very lucky this week because she went into the week being a number one target. And I think this is a great opportunity to talk about her winning
The
her
veto,
first
for sure.
competition.
And again, that's another thing that we talked about last week, how people, when they know their backs are against the wall, and she was like, Keanu said that she was his target. So he was putting the like the big magnifying glass on Morgan, how she all of a sudden was able to pull one out and win that veto, which was huge. But it was interesting. And again, I feel like it showed her colors when it comes to her feelings for Vince, how she even considered using the veto to take him off of the block. That,
Thank God.
for me, showed a lot. She was literally willing to risk $750,000 to save Vince in this game. Even though she didn't do it at the
Hmm.
end, just the mere fact that she considered it and it was a possibility for me showed a lot into how she feels about him.
I think we said something last week about Morgan really needing a win. And for her to waste that win on something, I'm glad she came to her senses. I do wonder that if it gotten any further, like I know Vince was kind of going along with it, but I almost think that Vince felt relief that she didn't use it because I feel like they do have whatever their relationship is defined as or is not defined as. I don't think she would have recovered from finding out that Vince let her use that, knowing that she was getting
I
played.
don't think Vince cared at all. He
No.
really was all about her using it. He was like, again, Keanu brought the idea out to him first,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, this is not going to work, but
Yeah.
sure, go ahead."
Yeah.
And then when Keanu brought him into the room, or I think it was actually Morgan that brought him into the room, like, "Hey, come listen to this like crazy idea." He was acting like it was the first time he was hearing about it, and he was like, "Oh, wow, that's kind of crazy, but
So
sure."
awkward.
If you're okay with doing it, he was 100% on board.
Yeah.
Like Vince is here to win this game.
For sure, no matter who gets burned, and that's
Doesn't
really the
matter.
ultimate problem with Vince. But also just makes me more sad and why I think it's just a little sad and embarrassing for Morgan in this behavior because like it is not as reciprocal. The same thing happened with crying Ron. I always call him crying Ron. The same thing happened with the crying Zach. Is it was just not reciprocated. And I feel like there's like an imbalance, and it's like her ultimate weakness is that she's just like trying to be picked by these men who don't really want her.
Maybe that's
And
I feel
this,
like the story of the season because Keanu's been doing the same thing with Rachel. Like, pick me, Rachel, and
there are some
Rachel's
lost
just
little puppies of the
for
season
sure.
looking for someone to just pick and pet them. We have one of those. I'm surprised most didn't just pop up
Pop
into
up
the
and like,
frame
hey,
like, hey,
pet me.
speaking of pick me's.
Something that we didn't mention, I just wanted to quickly touch on with Keanu. Keanu wants to create this alliance of him, Vince, Kelley and Lauren is like his dream alliance, and then have Rachel on the other side of the house.
Hmm.
And it's just crazy that like he's trying for that to work, but I just really don't know how that group can ever make it because they've all burnt each other just too many times at this point.
Hmm.
Like Vince has burned Kelley, has burned Keanu, has burnt Lauren after she played the veto for him, and Keanu wanting that alliance to work. I feel like at this point he just needs to move on from it.
I think he was just trying to assemble the people that feel um, left out of the other side of the house. But the reason that they're all kind of left out is because of Vince's actions, is because of Keanu's actions as well. I think it's too late to form a power alliance. I think that that side of the house is a couple weeks too late. I think the judges beat that side of the house to the punch in forming the kind of master alliance over the second half of the season.
Speaking of the judges, so Mickey goes home this week.
So
Finally, I feel like Mickey was
we manifested this.
in
No
everybody's
offense.
radar.
No offense, Mickey.
It's also like how things happen in the game. Morgan won veto, Vince won the blockbuster,
Mhm.
and then she was on the block against Ashley, which
Mhm.
is very, I think, good socially. She's insulated herself being closely aligned with Will and with Rachel,
Rachel.
even like Ava,
Mhm.
and then having the judges, so Vince and Morgan as well,
Mhm.
they're protecting her, and Mickey finding
Mhm.
herself out of that alliance. At the end of the day, Mickey, I feel like we've been saying for weeks, caused this on herself.
Totally.
I think it was even part of Morgan's goodbye message was like, Mickey, I really wanted to go final two with you, but the moves you were making in this game were not hurting just you, but me as well by being associated with you. So she just had to cut her loose sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this week's vote was the battle of the social game, and Mickey thought she had a social game that she doesn't, and I think Ashley has the social game that Mickey thought she had.
for sure.
I think it was an easy vote to get Mickey out. I am sad to see her go. I think she had a lot of potential. Mickey and Morgan really could have done something really big in the game. They just got caught up in, whatever the things are you get caught up in when it's emotionally charged and you're super vulnerable.
It
And
was the messiness. I feel like
yeah,
she spoke too much. Going back to like early on when she told Adrian about the alliance that Morgan, Zach, and Vince had, and then that coming back all the way to Vince and then Zach, and then them telling Morgan and Morgan finding out that way. Like that was the beginning of the end of that relationship. After that, it just like it started like snowballing. Even more things started coming out of Morgan saying things about, or sorry, of Mickey saying things about Morgan kind of behind her back. And it was downhill from there. And I completely understand them like saying, we got to cut our losses here. Even Ashley, which was also tight with her, of course, they ended up on the block, the both of them. But it just shows that Ashley was just playing a way better social game.
thank you for the memories, Mickey. We loved to watch your meltdowns this season.
It
It was a blast.
was. So Keanu won HOH. Mickey went home. Who do you think is going to win HOH this week?
I still think Avita isn't enough for Morgan. I think Morgan really needs a win to save her and Vince. If that's really important to her, she needs a win. I'm interested to see what comes of the Ashley and Rachel versus Keanu situation that has sparked in the house following week 8. I think that that could be a really explosive situation if either Ashley somehow wins or Rachel gets her second win of the season. Ava's won before, she's capable. Lauren's won before, she's capable. Kelley's back's kind of against the wall. I really think right now it's anyone's game. And I think everybody really needs a win right now. I think everybody at this point, it doesn't matter who you are, you're a big target. Kelley was a big target for the first couple of weeks. She's been a sitting big target for a long time. So even if they got somebody out like a Kelley, Ava's somebody nobody wants to vote out. Not even Keanu, who was in
Had
multiple spats with Ava,
with Ava
never
and had
even
every reason.
considered, never even considered Ava for nomination.
I think he doesn't consider her a threat, and that kind of showed. I think he doesn't consider Ava a threat, but as you mentioned, I think Morgan really. I think Avito's not enough. I think Morgan needs to win an HOH. I also would just like to maybe even see a repeat of either Vince or Rachel winning.
Agreed.
They've made it interesting enough to where them winning again, it would be cool to see what happens.
If
Does Rachel target Keanu
I don't
if
know,
she wins, or does she target
she
Vince?
backdoors Vince.
She,
Whoever
there's
wins next between Vince and Rachel is
targets
gonna
the
target
other.
the other one. Is gonna really try to backdoor
And
them.
what's Keanu gonna do? Is he gonna be on board with Vince trying to get
100%.
Rachel rid of Rachel, or
Vince
Rachel
is
trying
gonna
to
be
get
on
rid of Vince?
100%. Puppy Keanu is gonna
Hmm.
go with whoever throws him the bone first.
As long as he's safe.
As long as it's not him,
Yeah.
please
He's playing
take
a good
each other
game.
out.
Like the person that could potentially nominate him is Ashley, and as he said, I'm not worried about Ashley.
Yeah.
Like she hasn't won anything yet, so the only person that I could be afraid of is Rachel, and I hope she comes into her senses. She is a veteran in this game. If she gets rid of me, I like again, she needs me as much as I need her. We're the two biggest targets. If she gets rid of me, then she's gonna be next.
Man,
And hopefully she realizes that.
the guts on Rachel when she was sitting in the HOH room telling Keanu, like, do not nominate Ashley. And at the end of that conversation, she's like, "But what do I know? I've only played the game 3 times and won twice," or something like
Literally
that.
just
I
throwing it
was
in his
like,
in his face.
why would you remind him of that information? Because Keanu's the type of guy who's
Yes.
like, "Oh, interesting that you remind me of that.
And
It's your time then."
all he needs is somebody like Catherine again coming to him and saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, you're not going to be able to beat Rachel
Yeah.
in final 2," for him to flip the switch again and try to get rid of her immediately. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this upcoming week, especially with
The
the
mastermind
mastermind
is
coming back.
making his hopefully his last appearance. I think we wanted to see that gone this week, and then they saw us. We reminded
CBS is
them.
watching it.
Thank you, CBS, for finally tying up this loose end. We requested it. Our wishes are their commands.
Jury started.
Jury, yes. I think it's going to get really real. I think it's really tight. And I think we have a season of really fierce players, and everybody needs a win.
And you again said you think double eviction is not going to be this week, but the following.
I think they let the first person in jury go totally insane by themselves for the first week, and then they send in
Two
two people
people
on a double
on back to
eviction
back.
on the second week. And if not the second week, for sure by the third week.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to grow. We're trying to get it out to as many people as possible. If you see this video, share it with all your friends, repost it. Thank you for being on our cloud, and we'll see you next week on
Our cloud in Brooklyn loves Big Brother.
Peace out.